We all love projects. Projects. Embarking on a journey to create something big and new usually comes with a promise of great benefits. Starting a project is like setting sail for an expedition to find new riches overseas. Projects give us a break from our boring everyday processes and routines and keep us evolving. No wonder we love them so much. Projects cannot exist without ambition and boldness, but ambition and boldness are also the reasons why so many projects become economical disasters. We tend to take larger bites than we can chew, which is not only risky, but also inefficient and uneconomical. But how then? How to make big things without making the things big? And why? What are the economical outcomes of different ways to design a project? And why do we still so often choose the worst options? This is bad business. How to survive on a deserted island. Yeah, I know this story was supposed to be about projects, but bear with me here. You have run aground and are stranded on a deserted island. You're hungry and have run out of food. You are physically unable to eat coconuts without rum, and you're out of rum. Suddenly an elephant walks down the beach. What do you do? Okay. Now, sorry for interrupting, but I cannot stress enough that you should never ever kill an elephant. That is, unless it looks exceptionally delicious. Also, don't ask me why there is an elephant on a tiny island. So now you have an elephant to cook. How do you proceed? There are two different ways of cooking the elephant. Recipe 1. Elephant on a spit roast. Step 1. Gather 50 cords of firewood. Step 2. Engineer and build a spit roast capable of holding the elephant. Step 3. Take 20 pounds of spices and rub them all over the elephant. Step 4. Light up the fire pit. Roast the elephant for 96 hours. Step 5. Bon appetit. Then the other option. Recipe 2. Elephant steaks. Step 1. Cut a steak of the elephant. Step 2. Add spices to taste. Step 3. Cook on a bonfire until it's done the way you like it. Step 4. Bon appetit. Step 5. If still hungry, go to step 1. Which recipe would you choose? Let's compare the options. Since you are starving, maybe we should think which method is riskier. If we have not cooked a whole elephant before, are we sure our first time is going to be a success? Roasting the whole elephant, there's no second chance. If we fail on our first steak, so what? It takes 5 minutes to learn from our mistakes with the first steak and cook another one better this time. So the steak option is obviously better. Also, what happens if we find out after all that we like elephant meat even less than coconuts, or we get rescued before the elephant is fully eaten? If we chose the first recipe, we would have just wasted time, energy and firewood, wouldn't we? Making any changes to a whole elephant is also difficult. Once we have added our spices, it isn't nice to find out that we would have liked less chilies. Cooking one steak at a time allows us to change the spices even when we are cooking our last steak. The learning cycles in general are much faster with the steak option. By our 100th steak, we are probably pretty good cooks. With a whole elephant, we get feedback of the actual outcome only once, after everything is done and we get our first bite. But there is one reason why cooking the elephant whole might be tempting. Having a whole elephant on a spit roast over a huge fire pit would look so much better on Instagram or on a press release. Also, having this massive project finished, plus having a whole elephant to eat, really calls for a feast with all your friends and stakeholders. This might sound funny, but cannot be overlooked when thinking of the reasons real-life projects are the way they are. Having an excuse to throw parties and making leaders look important is the only reason I can think of where cooking the elephant whole is better. But here's the main reason why cooking the elephant whole is in most cases an economical disaster and a stupid idea. Let's plot the project output delivery for each option, assuming they are equally efficient, which means the whole elephant would be fully cooked either as steaks or as a whole in 4 days in both options. Let's start with the steak option. You cook a steak. Now you have a steak to eat after like 10 minutes. If you would continue, after the first day you have already a quarter of an elephant worth of steaks and you are not starving. You repeat this on the second, third and fourth day until all the steaks are cooked. Then the other option. You use your first day fully to gather firewood and to engineer and assemble the spit roast. You are still starving. And you are starving even more for the next 3 days and nights. Assuming you are still alive after the fourth day, great! Now you have all the elephant meat you can eat. Hope you didn't mess up with the spices. Have you ever heard someone saying that time is money? I hope so, because I just said it like a minute ago. Yeah, this is exactly it. Having a quarter of the elephant edible after the first day is better than having none of the elephant edible after the first day. In real-life projects, we usually create new or improve existing assets, products or production systems like ships, assembly lines, ERP systems or whatnot. Unlike steaks, they are not consumables. The outputs of our real-life projects don't disappear when used, but create value as long as they are being used. The sooner the project delivers stuff, the sooner real-life value starts to accumulate. So let's imagine that instead of steaks, we cook assets. Here's a bunch of assets. And instead of days, let's think about months and years, because I rarely see 4-day projects. All of the assets the project is meant to deliver creates 48 units of money per month in cost savings or additional revenue once in use. In the first option, our 4-year project is cooking and delivering the project elephant in 1/48 size increments once a month. An asset is done, and once it is done, it is taken into use to make us some money. Then we'll repeat with the next asset, and now both of them makes us some money. And so on until the project is done. In the other option, the asset elephant thingy is done in one massive batch. Years pass and everybody in the project is super busy, when suddenly, right at the end of year 4, a huge opening ceremony with ribbon cuttings and cake and queen and stuff, after which the assets are taken into use and money starts to come in. So, which option is better? In option 1, more than 1000 units of money has been made even before the project is fully finished. In option 2, no money has been made yet. Even after 10 years, the difference to a company bottom line is a third bigger in option 1 than in option 2. In my opinion, more money sooner is better than less money later. But hey, I'm just a washed up management consultant. What do I know? This is closely related to the idea of compound interest. The earlier you have money, the better. You can use it, for example, to set up more projects, to create even more assets, creating your shareholders even more money. Just like you on a deserted island, companies are always starving, and the sooner we feed them, the better. Time is literally money. So why don't we just that The steak thing with more money. Why do we still see projects that are running for months, years, or even decades without delivering anything until the end? Well, I don't know, but one reason could be that identifying the actual stakes of your project can be difficult. If you have ever seen a project plan, you probably have seen all kinds of buckets, streams, or iterations that make the project seem less waterfallish, yet nothing is delivered before the end of the project. Just breaking down the work and calling it a day is not enough. You can split the work in so many wrong ways. Cutting and spicing the steaks one by one might make you feel super efficient, but it barely matters if you still roast them in one big batch at the end. If you are not delivering something to eat already during the project, the value accumulation benefits are lost and the economical outcome isn't any better than if cooking the elephant whole. Understanding how we could split a project into smaller but still valuable chunks requires us to deeply understand why did we come up with the project in the first place, and often even question the initiation of the project. If we have already decided that we want to have a feast with a whole roasted elephant, we are already too far and there's not much we can do. Instead, if we initiate the project just to feed us, it is much easier to find quicker, smaller chunks of value. The problem is more often in the thinking of the people who initiate the project than the project management or the project team. Asking the project team to deliver a solution rather than giving them a problem to resolve might make you feel more important as a project initiator, but it is micromanaging. The antidote is outcome thinking. Look it up. There are of course cases where the smallest edible steaks are just inherently big. Building a bridge between two islands might be the most viable way to allow people to travel between them. And opening the bridge in sections might not be a good idea. In this case, a whole huge bridge might be the smallest viable serving size, and that's okay. However, in real life, we still see projects where multiple bridges between multiple islands are bundled into one mega project, where none of the sections are opened until the end. The optimal steak size is always relative and depends on the case. As we have seen, trying to decrease it really pays the effort, even if it can be difficult. So, what could we all do in real life to avoid falling into the costly trap of our desired greatness? 1. Ask why. If you think you need to have an elephant on spit roast, ask yourself, why do you really need it? If somebody else asks you to cook an elephant on spit roast, ask them why they want it. Question the original solution and focus on the problem. The purpose is always more important than the task. 2. Just do it. Whatever the it is, as long as you can just do it fast. Try fishing, search the jungle for fruit, or give a second chance for the coconuts. Chances are you'll invent better ways to feed yourself along the way. Never forget the purpose of whatever you are doing. 3. Come up with other excuses to party. Why not just celebrate actual business outcomes instead of starting or ending a project? Like, yay! I have managed to gain 5 pounds on a deserted island. So, finding the optimal solution can be uncomfortable and require asking ourselves difficult questions. But after all, breaking down the work in an economical way isn't nuclear physics, but something any of us would do the right way if we were starving on a deserted island. Making big things does not require making the things big. But what do you think? Why are we still so often cooking whole elephants? And how do you cut your steaks? Let me know in the comments. And while you are there, remember to like and subscribe. It is super important for this channel to get going. Thank you. This channel is about learning to dodge the trees others keep hitting. Check out my previous video about how to do just that. Best regards, Bad Business.